You know, good optics are a must for a hunter, particularly binoculars, not only during hunting season, but times like this when it's time to start scouting. But there's one thing you need to do when you get your binoculars that a lot of people don't realize. You need to set them up for yourself. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different. And here's how I do it. It's simple and easy. Just take the binoculars and just kind of grab good focus on an object. And I go and put my hand over the left lens. The diopter ring, which is on the right side, I will go ahead and adjust that until that right eye is in focus. Once it is, I take the hand off the other side, both eyes in focus, and you're ready to go. It's simple and easy, and it's a must that you do this before you go out and use them. Hi, I'm Rick White with Alpine Optics, and I want to talk to you today about the new Alpine Shasta Ridge binoculars. Now, they're lighter than the older Shasta Ridges, new sleek design, fog-proof, waterproof, BAK4 prisms, phase-coated, and the lenses are multi-coated. Inexpensive pair of binoculars with great quality. So if you're looking to save a little money, but still put quality in your backpack, make sure you check out the Alpine Shasta Ridge binoculars. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Hunt with Alpine Optics. I'm your host, Rick White.
Hey everyone, this is Lance from Alpine Optics. Welcome to On the Hunt.
Go.
Hey, this is Lance from Alpine Optics. Welcome to On the Hunt. Now we're going to go to Rick White. Hey Rick.
Is it a test or are we running? Oh, so we are running. The show started. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm a little behind times here over here, but I hope everybody's doing good this evening. Tonight, Lance from the office there and I are going to talk about Christmas gift ideas, all kinds of different ideas, and maybe Lance may even answer some technical questions because I get quite a few of those questions when I'm out on the road. And just to fill everybody in, I just got done hunting in Kentucky. I was hunting on Fort Knox on a military base, and I'm now in Indiana, actually with fellow pro staff member John Dallas. He's going to be filming me here in Indiana, and I start hunting this Saturday. So anyways, we're going to talk about Christmas gift ideas, and we'll take a short break, and we'll see you back here in about 30 seconds.
You know, good optics are a must.
Okay, Rick.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As Lance said earlier, you're watching On the Hunt with Alpine Optics, and Lance and I are going to host the show this evening. We're going to talk about some Christmas gift ideas, whether you're a woman, a child, or a man, just some different ideas on what we think would be really good Christmas gifts. But before we get into that, we'll just kind of give a rundown on some of the things that are going on. Lance, I understood, I think you were hunting in Missouri maybe just a few weeks ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was hunting with Jordan Dean, and then also we hunted a little bit with Wablo Creek Outfitters.
Okay, and how did Missouri treat you this year?
Oh, it's freaking awesome. Wablo Creek is amazing. The people there are amazing. Family life is amazing, and it's just a really cool experience to be up there. And Jordan is awesome. I mean, he's just a down-home country boy that just, I don't know, he's fun to hang out with, fun to hunt with, and he makes everything fun. So it's like when you're going and you enjoy the trip, if you don't see anything, you do see anything, it doesn't matter. You're just there with friends and family and just having fun.
I want to know how much Jordan paid you to say nice things about him.
Maybe a little bit.
You know, Steve Herndon down Wablo Creek Outfitters, great person, and it is a lot of fun to go down there. And I haven't hunted down there in the last year or two, and I really do miss it. I got to try to get back down there and hunt with the folks. And I would tell people that are listening, if you ever get an opportunity to go down there, you really ought to give them a shot. But I know that they fill up pretty quick, so
they do.
Get on the phone and get a hold of them. So, so I was in Kentucky hunting for a while, and I've got Indiana starting this weekend. It's a muzzleloader hunt here in Indiana, and I do it every year. And I'm hoping that we have a good hunt. However, our weather, and probably similar to yours, it got warm here. It's supposed to be in the 60s.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. So, you know, that makes it pretty tough to hunt when it's warm like that.
Yeah, it's like early bow season, you know, it's hot and you got to sweat walking to your stand, and it kind of sucks a little bit. Yeah, but it's probably upper 60s and lower 70s here.
Right. Now, I want to ask you a question before we get into some Christmas gift ideas. Yeah. And this is a question I get quite a bit from people. Now, I'm sure you've answered it on the show before, and we've talked about this before. But people, this might help too when we talk about some of the ideas for tonight. But when someone is looking to buy a pair of binoculars, there's just similar to scopes. I mean, there's so many options with binoculars. And I think some of it depends on, you know, maybe if you live out west, you might want a higher power compared to here in the Midwest and East and so on and so forth. But what do you tell people, and what can you tell people to explain the differences in the numbers, the powers? What is exactly are we telling people a 10x42 versus an 8x42 and so on and so forth? What's your take on that?
The two things to remember is I like to tell people to match your binoculars to your rifle scope. So pick the same power. So there's two numbers. You got, like you said, the 8x42, 10x42. Those two numbers are magnification and then your aperture. So the first number is magnification. So that's like the max magnification that bino has. So if it's an 8x42, it's 8 times closer at 100 yards. That's the magnification. And then in the aperture size, it varies. It kind of depends on where you're hunting and what you want to do. The larger the aperture, the brighter it is. The more light gathering capability, but sometimes you can go too big and they're heavy. The bigger the aperture, the heavier the glass, so the heavier the binos are. So I typically kind of go with whatever size rifle scope you're using and the aperture of your rifle scope, get something pretty close to that. If you're a bow hunter, you don't typically need too much magnification, so a really good bino for a bow hunter is right at that 8 power. It's kind of that mid-range. It's not hard to hang on to. And like you said, the guys out west, some of them do want long range. Some of them will go to spotting scopes, but it's kind of sucks to carry like two different optics. So if you got binos and a spotting scope, you're carrying twice the weight. So you can get a pair of binos that are like a 12 or a 15 power. And you can get them in 50 millimeter, 56 millimeter. But then you don't have to carry that two different optics. You can actually mount a pair of binos to a tripod and essentially get the same thing.
Right. Now, I know a lot of bow hunters, they tend to want a higher power, but yet they can really kind of hurt themselves a little bit because with an 8 power versus a 10 power, with the 8 power, you're going to actually have more light later into the evening. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Yeah, less magnification. So the less magnification, that's basically your focal length. When you change your focal length, you're adding light and your less magnification, so it's a wider field of view. So you see more. So it's kind of like if you make a circle and you look through that circle, if you look at it further away, the circle's pretty small. But if you bring it closer to you, the circle gets bigger and everything your circle gets bigger, and then everything that you can see inside that circle is bigger. Same thing with binoculars, rifle scopes, telescopes. All that kind of stuff. The more magnification you have, the less you're going to see in your field of view. So it's usually better, or I tend to think that it's better to be able to see more and gather in that light later in the evenings, early mornings, than it is to be able to see further. There's a lot of people that can judge the size of deer at distances and stuff like that, and that's great. I think it's awesome. But most people can't shoot 200 yards with a bow. So, judging a deer at 200 yards doesn't necessarily help you if you're not going to get it close enough to be able to shoot it. But you can definitely see out to, with an 8 power, 100 yards is nothing. That's bringing in it 8 times closer. So you can definitely see the size of the deer and kind of judge the size. And it's not limiting anything. Like you said, it's not limiting your light. It's not limiting your field of view.
Yeah. So I would tell people that if you're out there using a pair of binoculars, and number one, if you have a pair of binoculars that aren't seeing well into the evening when it starts to get darker, then really you need maybe a higher quality pair of binoculars. But it might be as simple as just changing the power and going down to a lesser power, like an 8x42 versus a 10x42. So just something to think about. So we wanted to talk about Christmas gift ideas, and I know you have a whole lot of kids at your house, and I've got 3, and one of my girls and my son, of course, they hunt, and so it's easy, in my opinion, to pick Christmas gift ideas that are hunting related when your kids are kind of growing into things. So you can start them with a kid's bow and move up to the next bow and the next bow, and now then they're shooting an adult bow. And the same thing, you can buy them a BB gun when they're little, and then you can maybe buy them a 22, and then you can get into a shotgun, and so on and so forth. But, one of the things my wife always asks is, what do you want for Christmas? Well, I don't need any hunting stuff anymore, really. But when she was buying hunting stuff, it was very confusing for her to when she went into a Bass Pro or Cabela's or wherever it may be to buy hunting stuff, because she didn't know what I needed, and so on and so forth. So we're going to give some folks some ideas. So I'm going to start with a few ideas, and then I want Lance, you to jump in and chime in on a few things But let's start with what I feel is very important. And if you're a deer hunter, and if you get in a tree stand, the most important thing that we can talk about, and I've done this on the show many times, is safety.
Yep.
So if you're looking to buy a boyfriend, a husband, a girlfriend, one of your kids, everybody should have a safety restraint. I wear a hunter safety system. I really like those. They make them all different sizes. They make them for kids. They make them for women and adults alike. And so you ought to have that. But I would also go a step further and make sure that you put what they call a lifeline. Hunter safety system makes it. It's a lifeline in every tree stand.
Yes.
Now, all it is a rope basically that's tied to the top of your tree and the bottom of your tree with a carabiner clip that has a sliding knot on it. You hook your safety system into it, and as you climb, you just slide the knot up with you, and it's the same coming down. Okay, so if you were to slip off your stand climbing up, you won't fall to the ground. Okay. And the crucial time usually with people falling out of their stands is when they're stepping from their ladder into the stand. Well, with a lifeline, you're hooked to it at all times. So when you make that step, you're not going to fall if something was to happen. Even if your stand fell out of the tree, and it happens to people, okay? You're not going to fall. You stay hooked up to that line. So just a couple items that I think are worth their weight in gold, and they're not that expensive.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're looking for great gift ideas for this Christmas and don't have any of those items, that's a must.
Yeah. Even when you're climbing up your tree stand early in the morning and your boots are like wet, or if you live up north where it gets kind of icy, and you're going up like a step ladder or something like that, it's super easy to slip.
Yep. And we're going to go back and forth on some items. We're going to talk about a few items that we sell at Alpine and Bresser as well that we think will make great gift ideas, and we'll throw some of those in as we go. Another gift idea, and maybe not down in your neck of the woods as much, but in my neck of the woods, it gets really cold in the winter. And an item that I found years ago was Thermacell. And thermacells by themselves are a great idea, especially for the turkey hunter. And when you go down south and the mosquitoes, if you've never used one, trust me, they work great. But they also make a heated insole for your boots. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but they're really cool. So you slide it into your boot. It's wireless, and you can charge the battery that goes in, and you've got a little remote, and you can turn them on, and I think there's 2 or 3 different heat settings. But if you ice fish, I don't know, hike, anything that you do, hunt in the cold weather.
Even sporting events.
Well, exactly. And so that's another neat item. Now, trail cams, I always talk about trail cams, and I have lots of trail cams. And we actually make 2 of them, and I think you've got a couple of them.
Yeah, I
also want to tell people,
I got the 2 that we have that are really, really good price points, and they're really good cameras, and they're really easy to use cameras, and that's kind of what we designed them for. So this one is what we call the non-timestamp. So it doesn't have a timestamp, it doesn't have a time or date, but it's the simplest one. You put your batteries in, you put your SD card in, and you turn it on. That's literally it. You hook it to the tree. It actually comes with a viewer, so you can aim the camera where you want to make sure that it's aiming where you want and at what you want. And then we have pretty much the exact same style camera, but this one actually comes with time and date, and you can set it up, and you can change like the distance of your pictures, how sensitivity, that kind of stuff. You can change the settings in this one. It doesn't have any settings at all. Like I said, this one's super easy. Pop it on a tree, turn it on. This one has a few settings, but works pretty much the same way.
And the Generation 2 that has the time date comes with an SD card.
It does.
That's kind of nice. It also runs on AA batteries, and it'll hold either 4 or 8. I would recommend putting 8 in it, and you will absolutely get the whole season. And a lot of times I get into half of the next season.
Yeah, I've got some. Yeah, I've got some from last season that literally I haven't changed the batteries on.
Right. And like you said, when you turn it on, the first 30 seconds, it's going to show you on the screen a picture of what you're actually taking a picture of. So you can kind of line it up the way you want. Now, you can also view your photos on that screen as well. And it is an IR that takes photos at night too. So, but the excellent, and all the items that we're talking about that Western Alpine actually has, we're going to I think Lance is going to talk here a little bit later about a pretty good deal on all these items. So here's these, again, just some ideas, but trail cams. And here's why I like multiple trail cams. And I've talked about this before. I put on a piece of property, I've got 300 acres that I hunt, back in Iowa. And I'll have about a minimum of 5 to 10 cameras on that farm, and I put them out, it varies, but I'll put them out the end of July, maybe into August sometime. But when I get a little closer to season, what I really like about multiple cameras is getting the same deer on multiple cameras. And now I can figure out where that deer's coming from, where he's going to, and it's not long before you can figure out his travel pattern. So and these inexpensive cameras are absolutely the way to go, because you can go out and buy these very expensive cameras, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I've had a couple of cameras stolen over the years, and when they're expensive, it hurts a little bit. And the fact that when they are expensive, you usually don't go out and buy 10 of them. So so anyway, it's just something to think about. Lance, we've got a brand new item that has come out, and I've actually yet to see it, but it's a light. It's a headlamp, I believe. Is that?
So we have our new Alpine headlamp that we just came out with, and we've been testing it and playing with it for quite a while now, and it's absolutely bright. It's rated at 500 lumens, but man, it seems a lot brighter than that because it has a spotlight. And the spotlight has two settings, and then it has an aerial, which means it gives like a really, really big area of light, and that one has 2 different settings, and then also changes to red. So when you turn it on, you can just go through and click the button on the side and change to all the different settings, or if it's off, you can press and hold, and it automatically goes to red. What's really cool about it is it's got an internal battery that charges off of a magnet. So this side actually has a magnet, so you can take the actual light itself and take it off of the head strap, and you can like stick it to the side of your car if you're working on your car, or on the side of the road and stick it above your rear well or something when you're working on a tire or something like that. So the magnet's really cool, and it comes off, so it's like a little handheld flashlight. It also comes with a clip, so you can just hang it on your lapel. So like if you're fishing and stuff like that and you want to put it on the head portion, you can. You can also take it off and pop it on your lapel. What's really cool is it charges pretty fast. I mean, it's right at around 45 minutes for full charge, and it'll stay on the full brightness about 2 hours. It'll last a lot longer if you use like the lower settings, of course, but man, we have been using the crap out of this thing when we go hunting. I use it to get to all of my tree stands, in and out. We try to use it in a lot of different ways. That way we can kind of test it. But we found that the red light is perfect. It's not too bright. It gives you just enough light to be able to get to that tree stand and not bother anything. But there's a lot of applications for it. Like I said, fishing and stuff like that is also an application. Crazy thing is I know a lot of astronomers use red lights, and this is perfect for astronomers to turn the red light on and be able to use it. So there's tons of different applications for this, and this right here is what we're going to give probably the best deal on. It's a way better deal than I thought they were going to do, so I thought that was pretty cool what they told me that we could do on the show.
All right, we'll go over all the prices here after a bit. I like those types of lights. Quite honestly, when I'm under the sink working on the faucet or something.
Oh yeah.
Because you can never put a light in the right spot. So I stick it on my head, and I'm actually what I'm looking at is what I'm seeing. So just another application for it. But as Lance said, don't be afraid. Everybody should have a light when they're walking in and out of their stands. If they're walking in and out in the dark. Don't worry about spooking deer, because listen, you need to see where you're walking. Number one, you're going to be quieter, but number two, you're not going to slip and fall and get hurt.
Exactly.
It's important, to think that way. Another item that I always tell people, if you're looking for a gift idea, and these are just things that I think every hunter should have, and that's some type of knife.
Yep.
Whether it's a knife that you're going to field dress a deer with, or if it's just a knife, anyone that hunts in a tree should have a knife on them, just in case they, again, if you're using the lifelines, it's nothing to worry about. But if you ever had to cut yourself loose, I mean, you got to have a knife. But there's so many other, applications for knives. So a knife would be a neat item. Nowadays, most phones have compasses and things like that. But I always thought the GPSs, the old GPSs were kind of nice to have. But let's talk a little bit about hunting clothes.
Yeah.
Because there's so many options. Whatever camouflage you like, that's fine. But depending on where you're hunting, and even in your neck of the woods, Lance, in Arkansas, it gets cold.
It does, yeah.
My tip to people when you're trying to stay warm is layer up. Okay.
Yes.
And you go into those pro shops, they'll tell you what you should layer with. I always go with the thin, base layers, and then put something warmer on top of that, and then warmer on top of that, and so on and so forth. And of course, socks, lots of different kinds of socks and gloves, but just talk to the pro shop. They'll tell you, what do you like to wear? Do you have a kind of a system? In Iowa, I know based on what the temperature is. If I check my phone and it says it's 26 degrees, I know exactly what I'm going to put on that day. I've got it down to a science. How is that kind of what you do as well?
Yeah. We don't have quite the wind as like Kansas and Nebraska and places like that does, and I know that plays a huge factor because when I hunt in Kansas, it like cuts through you. But here in Arkansas, it got down to -10 last year. So yeah, we definitely get the cold sometimes. But yeah, we definitely same thing. We do layers, thin layers in the beginning, and then kind of thicken it up all the way through. That way, when you're walking to your stand, or when and this is something that I do, but when I'm walking to my stand, I don't like to get too hot because when I get to my stand and if I'm sweating, that can actually make me even colder. So I try to wear thick layers to get to where I'm hunting, and then once I'm walking in, I might take some of those layers off and be a little chilled on the way in, but I don't get sweaty. And then that way I can get up into my tree stand, put everything on right before I get up in my tree stand, and I'm not sweaty and I don't get cold. And like you said, a hand warmer for your hands that's a godsend anyway. I don't like hunting with gloves. Just simply because I don't want to make a mistake of accidentally hitting the trigger on my release on my bow, or accidentally firing your gun off or something, and you really can't feel a lot with some big gloves and stuff like that. So you kind of got to be careful with gloves.
Right. One thing. Some people will probably disagree with me when I say this, but now in Iowa, where we live, we have to case our guns, okay?
Yep.
And I don't know if you have to in Arkansas, but there are a lot of states where you don't have to. And I have heard of so many accidents this year of people putting loaded guns back in their vehicle and the gun went off, and there's been 2 deaths that I'm aware of right here in this area of Indiana because of that one thing. So I would tell people, whether you need a gun case or not, it's a great gift idea. Buy a gun case for everyone's gun, because here's what I see. When you take the time to put your gun in a gun case, mentally, you're going to think about, well, I need to unload my gun before I put it in the case, and I'm going to stick that case in an area that's not pointed at somebody. It's just there's more thought process that goes into safety, not just the gun case itself. But I would recommend everybody use a gun case. I go down to Georgia and I hunt, and I take the time to put my gun in the case, and everybody down there's going, what are you doing? You don't need a gun case. Well, where I was raised, we need gun cases, and that's just human nature for me. So another great gift idea. I had an idea, but let's jump into another Alpine item, and that's the action camera. This is a new item, and I think you've got one there, and this is an awesome item. And I've got a couple of them. I've been using them. Lance, I'll let you talk a little bit about them, and then I'll give them my experience with using them.
Yeah, so just a little bit about it is it does come with a waterproof case. It comes with quite a few accessories. It comes with, of course, the SD card. And what's really cool about this camera is it's waterproof in the case and out of the case. So you don't have to use the case. The case is for going deep, like if you're going to go down like 100 feet, or you're going to use it for scuba diving and stuff like that. But you don't have to have that case if you're just filming and it starts to rain or gets a little bit of mist outside or something. You're not going to damage the camera. The other kind of cool thing is it does come with a wrist control, so you can actually put the wrist control on your wrist and set the camera up maybe a little in front of you and kind of film at the same time. So if you're hunting and say turkey hunting or whatever, it could be hiking trip or whatever, you can actually turn that camera on and start the video just by hitting a button on your wrist. And I thought that was a really cool little feature. You can also Wi-Fi it directly to your phone, and you can turn it on and off using your phone and actually see the video from your phone too. So you can actually use it set up to see yourself while you're hunting, if that makes sense. You could have that camera facing to you and use your phone to turn the camera on and start the video, and that way you can kind of do a couple of different things at once. It's tons of different applications. It comes with a stake that you can screw onto the bottom of the camera. There's a 1/4-20 thread adapter that you can put the adapter on and thread it onto your camera and then stick that into the ground. And like I said, it comes with a bunch of different accessories and a lithium battery. I think let's see. Just trying to think of any other applications that we use it for, but I mean, I use it for a lot of different things, like not just hunting, but I use it for like fishing and hiking. You know, my kids play with them all the time. You know, I've got like one 1080p camera, and then I have the new 4K camera, and you know, we'll set the cameras up, and then the kids will have one filming themselves, and then the other one will be like running around filming him too, and they kind of do their own little stuff. But yeah, they're great to be able to film yourself because they're so small, so lightweight, and you don't have like a big bulky camera that you have to worry about. And they'll fit on any of the GoPro attachments. They're all universal, so you can get any of those attachments that works for other cameras as well, and you can use them on this camera as well.
Yeah, very good point. And like you said, what I really like about it is when you take it out of the case, it's still waterproof down to 15 feet, which more importantly to me means that I can set it up in the room and I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. When it's not in the case, the audio is much better.
Oh yeah, way better.
And I love the decoy stake.
Yep.
You know, it just screws into the bottom, like you said, and you can stick it. I call it a decoy stake, but it's just a stake that goes in the ground. But I like to stick it next to my turkey decoys. Yep. I have found just a little tip for people that buy it. I have found that my best footage is when I set the camera, because you can set it on all the different settings. You can set it on 1080, you can put it on 740, but I put it on 4K. 30 frames per second is where I've gotten the best footage. So just a tip for people out there, just go ahead and set it right to that. But it's a great item, and it's a really neat, sleek design and look. I like it a lot better than the traditional silver ones or black ones. I mean, it's just a real cool rounded look, and it's, you know, it's just pretty neat. So
it feels rugged in your hand. It doesn't slip around. It's got a really good coating on it too. It's just an easy camera to use.
Now, there's so many other options on gifts, and I know we're getting close to our half hour, but binoculars. I think you've got a pair of binoculars there as well. Is that?
I do. I actually brought mine. So this is the ones that I've been using this last year. This is our new Teton. Man, there's so much I can say about these new binos. These new Tetons have the Abe prism in it, and so the prism is the prism that flips your image back over in the correct way. So when you look through telescopes and like reflecting telescopes and achromat telescopes, your image is upside down. And the reason for that is because they don't want to block any of the light out on a telescope. You want the furthest distance you can possibly go, but you're looking miles and miles and miles away, or thousands of miles into space. With binoculars, we want the image to look exactly like you see it, like when you're just looking across the room. So they use a prism inside here to do that. So you have all your lenses in the front, your lenses in the back, and then the prism is what flips that image around. Most prisms weren't over 60% reflective, which is normal, so it wasn't a big deal. These new prisms are over 90% reflective, so these binos are super bright. And I can look into tree lines and it looks like a three-dimensional image into the tree line, and the tree line looks brighter. I can actually see into the tree line. I can see the definition of trees in the tree line. I can see the distance between one tree and another tree inside of a tree line 100 yards across a field. I can't say enough about them. They're super bright. They have a super wide field of view. I mean, I'm using the 10x42s, which is a little bit more magnification than I usually do. But man, I absolutely love these binos. They're actually a lot lighter weight than you would expect them to be. It is ED glass. It does have the stippling on the side, just kind of like the Shastas. We've showed the Shastas before, and the Shastas are great binos too. And the stippling is what makes it really easy to hang on to, and you don't drop them. I love this is a cool idea for us. I love bino buddies. They hold it right to my chest, and I can just grab them, pick them straight up, and just let them go, and they're right there. They never leave that one spot. They don't interfere when I'm shooting my bow. They don't interfere when I'm shooting a gun. They're just easy to get to. Yeah.
Just as importantly is the fact that they're waterproof and lifetime warranty.
Yep, fully lifetime warranty on any waterproof product that we sell.
So, just to throw out a couple other quick gift ideas, pair of boots, lacrosse boots. I like the lacrosse boots. Great gift ideas. They come in kids and women's and adult men, all sizes. And then some type of those that are deer hunters, send Elimination, and I use a Limashield.
Limashield.
They actually have a really nice kit, and they've got a special on them right now. So Elimination and Hunter Safety System actually markets the Elimination. So maybe to check that out. So anyways, hey, I'm going to let you finish up with talking about the pricing on the Bresser Alpine items that we talked about.
Yeah, so we're going to have a discount across the board on the game cameras and then the action camera, and then we'll do a discount on these binos as well. The promo code, I'm not too sure what the actual promo code is. On the hunt. Okay, sorry about that. You use the promo code on the hunt for the LED headlamp, and no joke, these things are on sale right now for $19.99, and they are 50% off for the on the hunt promo, so you can get these things for like $10.
Oh boy, that's a great deal.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And was there something that you were doing on the other items as well, or?
Yeah, I think they already have the sales on there. They're not going to do the on the hunt promo, but they basically put the sale price on all of them. I think they're going to run that sale for about a week.
Okay, great. Well, man, that sounds good. And this half hour went really fast because I could talk about gift ideas for hours.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to do this again sometime. So, I don't know. Does Paul have anything else for us? I know we've probably run over a few minutes, but I thought I'd check with him. And are we good there?
No, we're good, my man.
All right. Well, Lance, hey, as always, it's good chatting with you, and thanks to Paul for putting everything together behind the scenes. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm hoping everybody that's still out in the deer woods is having some luck, hunt safe, and we'll see you next week. Now, listen, next week, Lance, and I'm not sure if you'll be on or not, but I have Stan Potts coming on the show, and he is, in my opinion, one of the best deer hunters. Well, certainly one of the best deer hunters I've ever hunted with. But Stan Potts, everybody knows him. He's going to be on our show next week, and we're going to try to get some tips and some secrets, and maybe even a funny story or two out of him, because there's a lot of them to tell. So, but as far as on behalf of myself, thank you guys for coming along tonight. Lance, thanks for helping me out. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Good night, everybody.